Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. GSMC Sex Podcast is your show for all of your questions about sex, even some you might not have thought of yet.
Welcome to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, with your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, we've been getting a little involved with, like, sex dolls and sexual toys, ones that go on to, extend the erection and, do just about everything. We're going to go a little step further today with sex machines. Now, I'm sure everybody has heard of these, but they're more partial to just buying the dildo or the cock ring or the nipple clamps. But this, if you want to change, whereas this works very well with masturbating because it's doing all the thrusting and the movement while you can just concentrate on other things. So it is what it says, a sex machine. It has a dildo attached. It can be somewhat portable, but it is motorized, and possibly stationary would be much easier. But there are those that are attached to pillows that you can sit on them and ride the dildo, and you don't have to worry about moving around because you're bracing yourself and that part is taken care of. You just, worry about other things. It can be used in role play. It can be used by itself. There are different sex toys, some for men and some for women. And you can interchange them if you like. So, sex machines are, it's a type of contraption that is used, and it's it is a machine. It needs power. You don't want to get it wet, especially when the motorized portion gets wet and you're in the middle of doing something. I don't want to find out what would happen with that, and the mere thought and image that is popping in my head is not comfortable. So it's it's used for various sex plays, like penetration, vibration, thrusting. Speeds are different, motions are different, and you can actually order a sex toy or sex machine to your specifications as you would a doll or that cock ring. It's completely up to what floats your boat and what turns you on. Some people just like the look of the sex machine and having that image in their head and that imagination or thought of how it could pleasure them. So just looking at it from time to time is a turn on. And it is a lot. It can be used in conjunction with other sex toys. And technically, you can do it with your partner while they're fondling with your nipples or whatever, and don't have to concentrate with the hand being between your crotch and their fingers up your vagina. So that part can be taken over, and your partner can get their thrill off of it, of watching you getting basically screwed by this machine, and they'll probably want to join in your anus, your anal passage, or they just want to take over, or they want you to give it a blowjob because it does give you that thrusting and force. And like I said, there are different speeds, so you can turn it down. They may be just getting off at watching you, screw the toy, screw the sex machine. So, it is quite, they have ones that are extremely big, and then there are the ones that you can buy, which are much more convenient to bring into the house, unless you have money and you can, set up your basement as your sex dungeon. Look at them. Choose them, start slow, start small, but have a bit of variety there, because you are paying for this, and you don't know what exactly you're going to like until you try it, obviously. And I'm sure there is some sort of return policy with regards to these. So, and I think it would only be if the item is not working correctly. But also, I'm sure they give somewhat of instructions on how to basically use, set up, clean, and the like. Now remember to clean it. If you do get one and use it, clean it thoroughly, because you don't want any bacteria left on there, because you don't want to get sick. Now, there are different types and characteristics of sex machines, and those combinations are quite endless. Again, you're picking what you like, so mix it up a bit. The popular ones are the saddle. Obviously, they are similar to a horse saddle, and it's just basically got a dildo sticking out of it, and the dildo vibrates. So, very, very simple, very, very beginner, which is what you want to try. And they are meant for you to sit on because they vibrate. You also have the option with these to have an interchangeable dildo. So it can also be controlled remotely. So your partner could be in the living room or had just come home from work, is not ready to basically jump your bones yet, but yet you're horny. Strap it on, give him the remote, let him just get you started and get you off, because he's thinking about it and he will come up and join you. So think of it that way. Next one is monkey rockers, and this one actually uses electrical power as opposed to batteries, and it works mechanically. They come with the dildo attached. Again, could be interchangeable, and when you swing back and forth on this particular sex machine, the dildo will go up and down. So there is a difference in direction and touch spots to hit that overall orgasm and going as far up as you possibly can. Now, mind you, you can have penetration as deep as you want it. So with interchangeable, dildos are at your option as well, in size, shape, and make, and material, and you name it, color, head size, completely up to you. This is your sex machine. It's going to screw you the way you want to be screwed. So, the next one are power tools. And they sound exactly as they are. They're like very similar to construction tools. They are meant for your partner to use on you. So you really do need somebody on the opposite end of that one. But if you can handle it, go for it. There are next kind, and I am not swearing at you, but this is what it is called, fucking rods. And these are for doggy style penetration. So the power levels and the speeds can be adjusted on this, but the level by which it is very good for doggy style positions. So now we have our adjustable sex machines. In these, you can change the angles, and this is really good for getting like more penetration or less penetration, or penetration from various positions, which is really, really good. Now, these are just a few. There are a ton out there, and I'm sure the market has not been tapped yet. But there are those that do come out with click vibrators attached to them. And there are those for the man, like has a pussy attachment, and he can have it as deep as he wants it. And again, he can pick it the way he wants it. I'm sure they also have an anal attachment. They have a slapping mechanism. It is portable, believe it or not. Some of these are portable. And, could take it anywhere they want. If they're in the bathroom and, want to get off while they're shaving, it is there for you. You can just pick it up and bring it in there. So, we are going to take a break here from our lovely sex machines. So, get that snack, get that drink, come back, get comfortable, and when we come back, we will continue with sex machines and how to choose the best one for you, especially since it's your first time. So that is our next discussion. Meet you back here for more sex talk.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Welcome to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Now, welcome back, my horny little devils, to our talk about sex machines. Now, when we left off, it was about types and, different mechanisms, to say the least. So let's continue on now with how to choose one. Mind you, everything is with preference, what you like. So when you buy your sex toys, you're not going into that sex store, even online. You are picking them to your specifications and how you like, or what you would like to be done to you, or you do to yourself, or to that sex doll. Who's to say you want to buy a sex doll with a sex machine? You just want to watch it and have her not talk to you. It does happen. But sex machines, just like every other sex toy, are what you like. And trying them for the first time, you really got to start out slow and then work your way up. You're not going to go to experienced right off the bat. Just gives you an idea of where you want to go and how you want to improve on your next sex machine, or how far you can update the one that you're going to get. Ask a lot of questions. That's what the salespeople are there for. So don't think that you cannot. And shop on. So let's get into this. Generally, sex machines are for experienced users only. But my question with that is, how are you going to become experienced if you do not try the machines? So, buy one. Don't be afraid by that. Just ask a lot of questions, as I earlier stated. There are a lot of mechanisms in them. So, obviously, different brands, different manufacturers, and some of the big manufacturers for sex machines are Sybian, Lovebots with a Z, Ibis, Pipe Dream. So when you're looking at them, these are some of the manufacturers that are on the top. And looking through theirs, obviously, they are at the top of their game, so they're much more easy. It will be much more easier for you to get more information and get one that's specially catered to your needs. So do call and ask questions. You don't have to buy it right off the bat, but that's why you have a mouth. Ask the questions. Now, the next thing that you want to know is how much power in a sex toy or in anything can you withstand, because these are very powerful machines, and they do come with various levels of power, but can very much be an intense toy to play with. Obviously, with all sex toys and things that we buy, size does matter in our mate and in our toy. And as much as you say it does not, there are those that can work with what they got and do it well. So, not knocking anybody. But if you do ask, the women want to, or your partner will tell you they like some size in there. Now you need, when buying a normal dildo out of a sex store or online, size you're going to go for. Okay? So, buying a sex machine, you got to consider that and to factor in as well. If you are used to it and you use a dildo that is a particular size, for the first sex machine, get a dildo the same size. And then have your interchangeable parts to be slightly bigger that way. But if you find that that doesn't work, but you do want to change in the size, go a little smaller. Go high and low, because it's, like I said, you are customizing this to you. Shapes and forms do vary in these machines, so please look into that. I know that you cannot measure the inside of you, although I'm not sure that somebody has tried with a ruler. I can't see where they have gotten any leeway with that, but a lot of pain. But men, put it up on that table, measure it out for your partner. You can start with the size of yours, because if your partner's been working with that with you, then getting a dildo the same size and width as you would be a great beginner. And you need, when purchasing these things, they do take up space. If you want one that you can put underneath your bed after you're done with it, or in a closet and lock it, or some sort of box, you need to make way for that, and you need to actually make sure that you are able to store it where it's not going to get broken or anything, and you want to store it. Make sure you have the space in the house. Like I said, if you are an enthusiast and you're building your collection in your basement, well, go for whatever size you want in the machine. But if you're starting out, you're going to want something that you can possibly put away. They also can be very heavy due to all the motor and the mechanisms that are in it. That is the other thing. Make sure you can carry it for what you want to do. They do have ones that you can strap onto your feet, and you basically control where it goes. It is a box, and a dildo is attached to it. So obviously those are portable, probably got some weight to it, but not a weight that you're going to have problems like lifting and hiding. But they do come in bigger sizes where the bed is attached to it. It's a mechanism, the machine is about as tall as you. So it all depends on what you want to do. And obviously the bigger the sex machine, the more power the sex machine has, or more functionality, if you want to put it in a nice way. However, when we're going to just say, again, the dildo is the most important part, so do measure your partner or the dildo that you have in order to be able to handle it, because of the mechanism, you can't readily just jump off if it's killing you. You gotta kind of sort of shut it off, back off, and do a whole bunch of stuff. And if you want to see these in actions, you can go online and find them. They do have videos out there, and I'm sure they're on every video platform that is there. The machine that has a dildo attached to it, that is unisex, obviously, and it could be used for male and anal penetration, and for the female, vagina penetration. So it goes either way. So again, that dildo penis size, whatever it is you're putting on the end of that, make sure it's comfortable for you. One of the main reasons is because stroker machines, as what they're called, can be very tight. So make sure to measure. And they tell you to measure the diameter, by the way. And you measure the penis diameter first, and then you go from there to measure the rest. Because again, this is not human manually operated. It is a machine, and you're putting it on what you want it to be. So, now, I know a lot of stuff overlaps when we're talking about these machines. So, when we come back, because I have to take a break here again, we're going to start talking about choosing the right material, shape, and texture. So it really breaks it down on the machines, and these are very, very important because they can hurt you. I'm not saying that a human being cannot hurt you, or a regular dildo that you manually use cannot hurt you, but these go a little further in how they are used. So you don't want to be hurt. You want to be able to stand the next day, or at least after the machine has done its job and screwed you. So go and replenish that drink, replenish that snack, and come on back for more sex talk with Andra.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, with your host Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, welcome back for the final portion of my show. And our topic is sex machines. They are an up-and-coming sexual pleasure. I'm assured they have been out for a while, And a lot of you out there probably have them hidden in the closet. But we are going to finish up talking about them because who knows, you're turned on and you might want to go out and buy one now. So, our last topic, and probably, the remaining portion of this would be like the right material, shape, and texture. Now, with a lot of sex toys, you need to be very careful of the materials. Obviously, if you buy that for a sex toy and love it, you're going to use it a lot. So you need something that is going to be durable, to put up with the continual thrusting and screwing for you. So don't think that you're not going to use it a lot. If you like it, you will use it. You can't wait to get home to use it because it's going to do all the thrusting for you. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to suction cup to the shower wall, as some dildos I have seen do. And you know that you can play around with the power level, the thrusting level, all that good stuff like that. For the most part, these machines are made out of metal. Obviously, the dildo is not. And this is so that they can withstand the overuse and continued use. This is also so that they can stand firmly on the ground and not be easily moved, because you want it to be basically stationary. Because if it keeps moving, it's not going to work properly for you if it's easily uprooted out of where it is at. Some of these items, like the saddles, are inflatable, made from rubber, but they also, the whole thing, when you look at them, they actually look very similar to a fitness ball. Now, there's a lot of shape combinations, and these things are endless. And they look like you could find, seriously, you can find these things. It looks like the portion part of the mechanism, the machine part, looks like you just took it out of a gym machine. And they look like the benches or the balls or whatever, but they are there, and that's what they look like. Now, the dildos that usually come with the machines are made from silicone. You may be able to, work with that because silicone is actually used because it is more durable. And it's got to withstand the power of the machine. So the dildos will be made with it, because what's the sense of buying it and paying the money for it if you can only get 1 or 2 uses out of it? You want to be able to use this for a while. However, they, do give you options, and some are made from leather, rubber, metal, or glass. Now, the glass, obviously, be very careful with that. I mean, be careful with any of these. But it is what it is. It is glass, and glass is breakable. So pay attention to what you're doing. Don't want you to rush to the hospital, because you'll end up on emergency room drama shows. And we don't want to see that. Thank you very much. So, it's, you think about these and what could happen. And the whole idea is they're made for extreme pleasure. For you alone, and for you and your partner, or many partners. They are made to feel like the real penis, the real vagina, and this is the outcome of any other sex toy that you get. Difference here, it does the work for you. You get a little bit added. So it is something that could be very, very fun for you. And make a long-lasting impression on you. So you want to really think about that. Now, mind you, our vaginas, our penises are warm because we have our internal temperatures and outside temperatures, and it being engorged with blood and all of that. You might want to get some lubes, which is kind of sort of, if you buy the sex machine or the dildo, get the lube and get it warmed. Warm it up and put it on there so that you can have that sensation of a warm penis being thrusted into your vagina or into your anal canal, whatever you want to call it. But they also do come with lots of textures, because textures are fun, just like your regular dildo. They come curved, ribbed. They have extended anal penetration devices on the end of it, so you can really be selective on what you buy. Silicone is the biggest and probably the best that you can use because of its durability, but they do come with other textures. I think with that you might want to find an attachment that goes over the dildo so that you don't have to worry about the durability of the actual dildo that's attached to the machine. So we're going to go on to how to use a sex machine. Like with any other machine or driving a car, once you figure out all the gears and you figure out how it goes forward, backwards, around the corner, and you figure out the length and the maneuvering of such length of that, so does a sex machine. They go by basically the same concept when using them. Now, we have talked about portability. We have talked about stabilization of the mechanism, of the machine. But also trying to figure out how the remote control works with respect to the machine, because some do come with remote controls. And I believe they may just be wireless, so someone can be controlling this from one room. Your partner could be having some fun while you're in the bed, not knowing what he's going to do. So that is the fun part about that. Again, make sure you use lubrication. Very, very essential. And this is for comfort and easy gliding in and out, thrusting back and forth of the sex machine's dildo. You don't want to do this dry, because it'd be very uncomfortable for you and could actually hurt you. So we don't want to do that. Please, as usual, follow instructions with these, because there might be some assembly required. And make sure that, one, if they are extra pots, they are actually extra pots that do not go into it. Not pots that you thought or decided did not go in and did not put them in. Not a good thing. Especially working with this. Now, mind you, they have dildos out there now on the market that thrust and actually twirl when they're in your vagina. So there are those handhelds if you want to try out one of those first to see how that would be before you buy a sex machine, that might be a very good idea. Other than that, if you're going right into it, go right in. But be careful, because again, they are machines. That is the end of my show. Sorry to make it there. But as usual, practice safe sex, if not for you, for your partner. I'd like to thank you for joining me again for another session of Sex Talk. And I look forward to bringing you more in my next session.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast.